Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy HBSA 2012 here, back at it again. This time, I'm going to be showing you guys a lot of the replays of our Ultimate Battle League in which I'm currently participating in. So, as you guys remember, a couple of weeks ago, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, I've I'm currently 1-1 prior to all these replays, and I made a few changes to the team because I started realizing that I was weak to a lot of different stuff, and there were a lot of free agents that I was particularly looking at. But the problem with free agency is that there isn't a specific way to create the best team without having to sacrifice your best players or Pokemon. And obviously, that comes into play, especially on the last couple of weeks, since you want all your Pokemon to pretty much be as effective as possible. Because ranking up wins later on in the season, especially when there's only 12 weeks in this season, um, makes things very interesting, and a lot of pressure happens, and the clutch gene has to go on. So, nonetheless, let's get to it. So the first game I'm going to show you guys is obviously the Inglewood Infestation, which is I, versus the Los Angeles Lugias. So a battle of LA County teams. So as you can see, I actually prepped quite a bit for this, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a very interesting match. So nonetheless, rocking here is a Scarf Nidoking, uh, Z-Volk, Flame Orb, Swallow, Megalope. I believe this is Leftovers, and this is Violet. So let's get to it. So I lead off with the Meloetta. I lead off with my Nidoking because I don't want to lose to the Zygarde, which he has. I just don't want to lose to it right away. So what I'm going to do here, I see the Meloetta, and I'm going to switch out into my Chansey. And he fires off a Psychic here. I think he gets a defense, special defense drop, which is nothing because they can just still wall it. He goes into Zygarde here. I think I fire off a Toxic and realizing that he has a Lumberry. So I'm going to do the ballsy plays to go into rotom-wash here, expecting him to Dragon Dance. So he has to attack me here, so I'm going to sack off my Rotom, which wasn't a really good idea, but I had no other choice. So I go into Nidoking, expecting to take the bait. Ice Beam, Zygarde, gone. Scarf, because I'm faster than the +1. Adam and Zygarde. So I go back into my Chansey, the Volcanian's going in, but he doubles into Diancie. And here's the funniest play ever in this battle. I think in the entire season so far. I have a Swallow, expecting him to get walled by Diancie, but nah, son. I got the tech, the Steel Wing. And it was pretty good. We get rid of Diancie. So now I'm going to hit the U-turn because I want to save this Swallow for later. I go into Lopunny. I should have gone into Chansey. So that's like one misplay that I fucked up on. I should not have sacked my Lopunny. So I go into my Nidoking. And what I'm going to do here is fire off a Sludge Wave. And here's another mistake that I did. On this one, it pretty much cost me the game. So I stayed in, expecting him to go either into his Bulswole or his Thundurus, because the obvious play here for him to predict is the Chansey. If unless Buzzwole is Scarf, then it's not really much of a problem because I have faster mons that can deal with it, especially a Swallow that's sitting at 383 max speed. So I was expecting him to predict the Chansey, but I guess he decided to stay in, and I still stand on my play because I wanted to. In the end, I wanted to weaken the Meloetta as much as I possibly can. So I go in with my Volt, start setting up a Quarter Dance because that means I'm faster than all of his mons. Fires off a Psychic, doesn't do enough, and I believe I just go for the Bug Buzz and just knock out the Meloetta off. So here comes the Thundurus. He T-Waves me. I wish that I didn't get parried here because I would have fired off a Fire Blast and knocked this Thundurus off. And now it's going to come down to Chansey and my Swallow, but obviously isn't going to be enough because this Buzzwole is going to be creating problems. I get up Rocks to weaken the Volcanion and the Thundurus when they're switching in. So yeah, I get a Toxic up. He goes for the Drain Punch, knocks me out. Perfectly fine. He got the Beast Boost, but now it's my boy Swallow. Can Swallow do the comeback? So I go for the Brave Bird, Guts boosted, destroys the Buzzwole completely, knocks it out. And then he goes into his Thundurus. Well, luckily I got the Quick Tech and Quick Attack, knocked this thing out. And now he's going to come down to the Volcanion not being bulky. It was in the end, but it was a pretty close game. I take the Brave Bird. If I had Facade, I probably might have been able to knock him out, but yeah, it's just that I couldn't be able to finish off the sweet comeback with Swallow. And it's funny because Swallow, I don't remember who I dropped for Swallow. I think it was Swampert. Swampert for Swallow. And Swallow did pretty well for his starting position on the team for this week. So, anyways, GG to my opponent, Los Angeles Lugias, and now I am sitting at 1 win and 2 losses. So, on to the next game. Now, the next game is against a good buddy of mine, Joshua, who is the Lavender Town Gengars. And I, obviously, the Inglewood Infestation, don't want to have a 1-3 start to the season because, again, this season is only about 12 weeks long. And obviously, with playoffs, additionally, if we make it. But right now, we want to focus on the regular season. So, rocking the Extra Joe. Actually, my first time using Medicham. And Medicham kind of somewhat deals with this team, except for Latios and Archeops. But I just wanted Medicham for just crazy power, and I don't auto lose to Greninja, especially in the rain, because it's very threatening, because he has the Politoed and the Mega Swampert, which obviously means that it's going to be fast as hell in the rain. And I do have the Rotom to wall Mega Swampert, but I don't want this to be weakened by Swampert, so that I can use this again. So I can use Rotom against Greninja. My low bunny is there for priority, so I don't auto lose to fast threats. And Chansey is there to wall Latios. It walls Greninja. It walls special variants of Archeops, if this is such a thing, and Politoed. So anything else I would like to say? Obviously, Volk and Mega Lopunny, you probably guys are noticing, they're consistently in the starting lineup. So, here we go. So, on to the game. So, noticing that I don't want to lose to Archeops, because Archeops actually destroys my team completely if it starts setting up or it starts throwing head smashes. Because the only switch to head smash, Scarf, or Choice Banding is Machamp and Extra Joe. But I do not want to lose to Elite Archeops. So, my opponent Rock Polish here trying to get the game up really early. But I go for the Volt Switch and does 82. It activates Archeops' crap-ass effect that attack and special attack is cut in half. He goes into the Serena. Good play on his part because Fake Out is negated by its ability. He goes for the Chop Kick, trying to catch my Mega Lopunny. But I switch to Volcarona and it gets burned. So, going to Latios. I go for the Bug Buzz. Now, this is kind of a questionable play on my opponent's part because I think the best play for him would either sack the Archeops because it's already weakened because of its ability. And I think going to Politoed might have been the play. But I think the reason why he might have not gone to Politoed is that he doesn't want to sack the number of rain turns that he has. Because once that rain goes out, Greninja and Swampert aren't threats to me anymore. Especially when I have a Volk. So, I go into my Chansey here. Now, here, I actually could have stayed. But I didn't want to run the risk of getting hit by a Surf. I don't know if this Latios was Scarf or Specs, but obviously it has Trick. So, find out that it has actually is Scarfed. So, I could have actually stayed in and Quiver Dance. I actually could have done that. But if I would have done that, that might have been game already. Because then another Quiver Dance would definitely outspeed all of his mons, and he can take, and it probably will take water type hits in the rain. So, yeah, that could have been interesting there if I would have just stayed in. But you know what? We gotta play it safe. It's super early in the game. It's only the 5th turn. So, anyways, he switches to Scarf with the Violet, hits the Side Shock, does 37. I get my Rock Slip because I want to get rid of the Archeops right away. I go into Extra Joe. He goes for the Side Shock. Now, I'm Scarf, so I just knocked this Latios out. So that's one less threat out of the way. He sacks the Archeops, which is okay, fine by me. He goes into the Politoed here, and I'm just gonna stay in to weaken the Politoed, but there I get a crit, which unfortunately sucks, because now this means that Swampert can only switch in up to 2 or 3 times now with Rocks up. I wasn't expecting the crit. That was really lucky on my part. But I think in the end, the combination of Rotom and... Yeah, I think Rotom still would have walled the Swampert. And I would have had the ability to Will-O-Wisp it and burn it to make it useless. So, I still stand by my play of staying in because this was his only play that he can possibly do. But with this Swampert weakened, it pretty much made the game way more easier and takes a lot of pressure off of me. So he evolves into this Mega Swampert, waterfalls me. I sack the extra because I don't need it anymore. Then I'm going to go into my Mega Lopunny, and I'm going to go for the Fake Out and knock out the Mega Swampert. So that's one gigantic threat out of the way. Now we still have to deal with this Greninja. So I'm going to go into my Chansey because I'm not risking my Mega Lopunny, but he makes the good play of going into a Serena because he could definitely start causing problems. Gets rid of my Choice Scarf, which is fine because I'm just going to Seismic Toss the Serena. And Chansey, you know, it's still fat even without the Violite. Drop kicks me like, you know, because it's burn, it doesn't do that much. So I'm doing Soft Boil, get all my HP back. Serena didn't reveal his entire moveset, but it has knockoff, drop kick obviously, and you'll find out soon that it has synthesis. So this means when it's burned, it's not going to be much of a threat to me. So he goes for Aromatherapy for revealing his final move. So that means, wait, I can just go into my Volcarona and just finish this team off. But I don't do that yet. So I'm just going to go for the Seismic Toss here. And, you know, try to weaken this as soon as I can. So I'm going to go for the T-Wave here. I'm expecting to switch into Greninja or Politoed for whatever reason. And just Seismic Toss here. And trying to get this Serena paralyzed. So I go into my Volcarona here. And I'm just going to go for a game right now. Because I just want to win as soon as I possibly can. Oh, and I believe this Volcarona is actually Z Sunny Day. So in the case there was rain, and I was faster than any of his threats, I was able to get +1 speed with Sun. So he goes to the Politoed here, and I believe I'd start firing off the Z Sunny Day, as you guys can see. So now water type moves aren't really going to do too much to me. Like, see, that Skull just did 17%. Bug Buzz doesn't do too much to the Politoed, surprisingly. But he has Haze. That's a good play. But at this point, I'm just going to QD up one more time. And he goes for the Sidekick. I think expecting him to switch to Machamp. But I'm just going to Bug Buzz. And last but not least, in comes the Greninja. But in the sun, Water Shuriken isn't going to do too much. It only does 5%. So he wouldn't be able to... I don't think he'd be able to kill me in 5 hits. No, he wasn't able to. So, gave it out the Bug Buzz. And yeah, that's a good game. Good game on the opponent. But yeah, the critical hit on Swampert was kind of lucky on my part, but I think I had the tools to wear down the Swampert. And with Rocks Up, it just makes the Swampert not able to switch so many times. So yeah, good game on my opponent's part. Next, man, this is the game where I did not prep at all, and I'm just going to straight up tell you guys that I took the biggest L of the season right here. Obviously, I knew Mega Kangaskhan was a threat, but it's just really hard to prep against Mega Kangaskhan because here I fire off a Will-O-Wisp and it's pretty much over here because I can't do anything to the Mega Kangaskhan. So he just keeps cursing it up, which is a pretty cool tech on Mega Kangaskhan. And he has a Sucker Punch, obviously kills my... It doesn't kill my Swallow, surprisingly. I go for the U-turn, doesn't break the substitute. And here I knew it was over. Like, I just couldn't do anything about it here. Frustration just knocks me out completely. And right here it's just, yeah. I go for the QD, expecting to go for the Sucker Punch, but, you know, I had the Z Bug Buzz. I probably would have knocked out the Kangaskhan, but, yeah, I should have just done that right away. And you can see I'm already, like, getting, like, oh, yeah, this is going to be one of those games. And here I just can't do anything. And at this point, you know, I'm just trying to avoid getting the 6-0, because it's really don't want to be that person getting a 6-0. He goes for the Scald here, and it just crits my Nidoking. Now here I could have actually gone for the Earth Power if I was a real man, but I'm not. So I just go for the rotom-wash play here. He goes for the Iron Head. Obviously has no ground types, so, you know, I just gonna keep volt switching. Or I T-Wave this Hydreigon, because I think it was Specs or Life Orb. No, it was Life Orb, so lowering its speed would have been pretty cool. So I go into Swallow. I have to sack it because it's gonna die to burn next play, so... Yeah, I couldn't really do much this game because that Mega Kangaskhan destroyed me completely. So, yeah. So after this game, I actually made a lot of transitions. Not transitions. I made a lot of transactions with my team. I noticed there were a few FA agents, and the guy who actually played against had his Toxic picks up for trade as well. So, you guys will probably see it. Probably not in these videos, but probably sooner or later in the later parts of the season. I actually do revamp the team up a bit. Now, I can't remember the transactions off the top of my head, But I'm pretty sure I traded my Machamp for Medicham, and I always got Medicham because of its ability, and with the scarf or even a choice band, it's just disgusting in general. Like nothing but switch into it. I also believe I ditched my Soul Rock for a rotom-heat. No, I got rid of my wash actually, and I got rotom-heat. Now the reason why that is because I technically don't, outside of Volcarona, I auto lose to steel type moves, or still not steel type moves, but steel type Pokemon, and it keeps the balance of having a defogger or a hazard removal on my team, and another earthquake immunity for me. And so that's what I ended up doing for the transactions, and I believe I got another one because I don't have Solrock on my team anymore. I don't remember who I actually traded for, which is kind of embarrassing. But yeah, I revamped like the second half of my team just so I can compete much better. After this defeat, I started realizing, man, I can't really compete with teams like this because I auto lose right away, right off the bat. So yeah, I tried to do a last ditch effort not to get 5-0 or whatever, but unfortunately, as you guys can see, Mega Canson just messes me up in this game. So I couldn't really do much. I should have prepped more, but in the end, that's how Pokemon is. Gotta learn how to take the L and just move on. So on to the next game. Oh yeah, so I ditched my Soul Rock for a Quagsire. So Quagsire is a pretty interesting tech that I decided to do because I did not want to lose to setup users. Like Mega Kangaskhan has made me realize, like, oh shit, I cannot fucking lose to setup users. I know where it gives me that defensive edge. It gives me electric immunity. Um, it also gives me a somewhat partial water immunity with water absorb, but I'm gonna mostly use Quagsire for for just setup users not killing me off. As you can see, my opponent, which is the Austin Azumarils, is pretty terrified of my team. But anyways, before this game, I would be 2-3, meaning it's okay. We're nearly halfway into the season, so I'd rather start racking up more wins and losses so we can start making a stride to playoffs. So, team preview against the Austin Azumarils. Azu just destroys my team completely. So my priority was to just get rid of that threat as soon as I possibly can. I need to start throwing my opponents off guard when they have a gigantic threat. So that way I understand, and even told me after this game that Azu was like the biggest, would have given me the biggest L of my life, as if Mega Kangaskhan didn't do that already. But yeah, other than that, his team was it was a pretty good team overall. He had a pretty good roster, but gaining rotom-heat and Quagsire definitely helps balance out my team quite a bit. So yeah, here he goes. So I lead off with Medicham because his entire team outside of Scarf, Shaman possibly, it does not outspeed me. But Medicham, look at Medicham and then look at his mons. Unless he predicts correctly, this thing has no switch-ins at all. No switch-ins whatsoever. So I switch out to my rotom-heat because I was predicting him to be scarfed and attack my Medicham, and I don't want to lose my Medicham right off the bat. So he goes into Rotom. So I go for the Hex, does absolutely nothing, and I Volt Switch, does somewhat okay, damage. So I go to my Lopunny because Scrappy allows me to fake this out, and only to and that was just for me to scout out what kind of Rotom this is, and then see if I can actually destroy this thing with a frustration. But I'm going to go into my rotom-heat just to be safe because he T-waves me. I thought he was going to Will-O-Wisp in case he survives or whatever. And he's going to Volt Switch here. And I believe he's going to go into the Heatran. And I'm going to hit the Volt Switch. And I'm going to go directly into my X-Control here. So, noticing that the Heatran doesn't have a balloon means that it's either Scarfed or Specs or even Z because it was a Z Captain. Because Volt Switch from a Rotom that isn't offensively catered means that this Heatran is probably really offensive and doesn't have any speed on it unless it's Scarfed or it's Specs or Z. So He's gonna switch into Azumarill. I'm just gonna fire off an Earthquake because why not? Because the only thing he has um, for it is the Rotom, and this Earthquake does 52. So this is the biggest momentum changing part of the game. And here I'm like in my head, I'm like, you better not be Belly Drum, because if I switch out and go into my Quagsire, it's not water absorb. And if he belly drums me, I'll be like, okay, I'm okay with that because I can toxic the Azumarill. It's not a Z user, so it cannot use Normalium Z or whatever. And I can beat it 1v1. I can just throw off Earthquakes and Toxic racking up damage. Eventually, we'll be able to knock it out, and I can recover on the turns that it tries to keep attacking me. So in my mind, I'm like, well, you know what? I think Belly Drum is going to be coming here, and if he hits a Belly Drum here, I kind of lose. Even with Underwear Quagsire, I still kind of lose. I also have a Quick Attack and Fake Out on Mega Lopunny, so I'm able to chip it away without me taking any hits. So I do the ballsy play and Earthquake this thing, expecting him to either belly drum me or even attack me straight up and knock me out. And that was a huge sign of relief because now that means I'm able to not worry about, first of all, an Azumarill that destroys me 6-0, and I'm just able to play however I want. So now, going to the guard chop, I predict that, going the Will-O-Wisp. So now this guard chop isn't much of a threat anymore because it's burned. I go into my Quagsire expecting him to get rocks up, of course, and he goes into the Shaman, and I believe I just fire off a Scald, seeing if I can chip away the guard chop. Obviously, I'm not going to lose my Quagsire here. So he goes for the Sea Flare, but misses, unfortunately. And I believe I take the opportunity to just Volt Switch, but unfortunately I didn't predict that. And I believe right here, goes into the Shaman, and I go for the Hidden Power, which was actually Grass. So, again, this Shaman is a bit kind of annoying. Go for the Overheat, predicts that nicely. But and then this is the weird part. This Heatran is actually slower than my Rotom, which has no speed investment. So I was like, I wonder what kind of Heatran this is, you know? I get the rocks in me, but he goes for Toxic, which is fine. He goes for the Protect. As I go for the Hidden Power, I think he was expecting the Hidden Power Ground, which is kind of obvious if I'm putting in a Volt in front of the Heatran. I get the QD up here, and I believe because toxic damage is racking up, I decided to throw off my Z here so I can just chip away at the Heatran. It does 28, which is pretty decent for, 4 times resistance. So I go into Excadrill here, and I break the mold. He goes for the Protect, and I go for the Rapid Spin, trying to get rid of these rocks. I think he expected me to Rapid Spin again. I just hit the Earthquake and just knock out the Heatran. So now Rotom can basically do whatever it wants. So unfortunately, he misses the Seed Flare once again. The calcs are kind of in my favor since I'm somewhat kind of bulky with HP. I definitely can take 2 Seed Flares, or actually I can only take 1 Seed Flare, and that's it. And then obviously if I get a minus special defense drop, it won't be able to live whatever. But anyway, it wouldn't be able to live. So Rotom is sitting comfortably at its HP that it is right now. And, I'm able to fire off an Overheat without any repercussion. This allows me to weaken the Guard Chomp as well. It takes 24%. I think I go into my Mega Lopunny. As he predicts me to stay in, and he goes for the Stone Edge because it's burnt. Doesn't do anything. He goes for the Stone Edge, revealing that he was actually Scarfed. So that means that Shaman obviously isn't Scarfed because we found out that it is actually Life Orb. So in comes the Gardevoir, so I'm going to go into my rotom-heat, which is the best defensive wall I can possibly throw out. Hyper Voice does 29. It's like, well, I'm going to lose to a Psychic, which is completely fine with me. As I'm going to go into my Mega Lopunny here, and he doesn't want damage on the Mega Gardevoir, and Fake Out does enough to the point where a Frustration should do more than double than that. I'm able to knock off the Rotom. Goes into the Gardevoir. Obviously, I don't want to lose to this thing right off the bat and not choke the game away. Hyper Voice here. I'm just going to sack off my Quagsire because I can do it. So Mega Low Bunny here. I'm just gonna scat out the damage. Fake Out does 37, and meaning double Fake Out plus 20 more base power means I'm able to knock it out with the frustration. And with Shaman being a bit kind of low, I'm just able to frustrate this and knock this thing out. And if I wasn't able to knock it out, then that means Mega Medicham would have been able to clean up the Ice Punch Scarf. So good game to my opponent. Like I said, the Zoomeril play, that was kind of a momentum changer. I made the game a lot easier in the long run. So GG's to the Austin Zoomerils. And last but not least, the game that I played last weekend was against the Memphis Bravebirds. So kind of funny about this game. We actually had a game prior to this, which was an official game, and I lost 5-0. Like, I got all obliterated because I had no offensive pressure whatsoever. But my opponent was fielding an ineligible Mon, I should say. He had a Sylveon, which he switched out his superior for, and carrying an illegal Mon on your team results into either a 3-0 forfeit in my favor or a replay. And I think replay would have been the best opportunity. And it helps me redeem the freaking L that I took again, which I was like, I'm not going to take another 5-0 L too. And I was playing FIFA Weekend League at this time, and I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not taking no more L's, man. I'm already frustrated with FIFA. I ain't going to be frustrated with Pokemon ever again too. So looking at his team and looking at my team, I actually had a Blade instead of, I believe it was Nidoking. Yeah, I had a Blade. And I decided to get more offensive power in my team and just put in Nidoking. And he had a Sylveon, and he switched it out for Rumtees, obviously, because it's illegal. So, anyways, let's get right to it. Lead preview, obviously, the best Pokemon I can lead off with is Rotom-Heat because it takes care of Mega Metagross, Hoopa if it's Specs, because I am technically more especially defensive. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fire off the Will-O-Wisp on the Armaldo, expecting me to knock off. So that means with the Armaldo burnt, it lowers the attack, obviously. So it provides nothing to his team at all, except for knockoff plays. And it means I can break off its 30. So what I'm going to do here is just Volt Switch. And I think I'm going to go into my Quagsire. And he goes for the Rock Tomb, which is a good, interesting tech on his part, because it slows down the Volt. So what I'm going to do here, he goes for the knockoff, which is fine with me. And I'm just going to take it one step at a time and just Scald. I'm not going to predict him going to my Lodic, because why not? He's just, rock to me. There's no reason for me to predict so early. Go for the Earthquake. At this point, I want to be as healthy as I possibly can. And I'm just going to recover, which meaning that his Armaldo is just going to get killed the next turn by that. So I go into the Rotom-Heat. He goes for Hyperspace Fury, which does 54. Completely fine by me because I'm going to go back into my Quagsire because they can take the Hyperspace Fury. So now I'm free to recover here. But I actually go for Toxic and miss, unfortunately, which could have been pretty interesting. He has the Wish. I missed the Will-O-Wisp. I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. He fires off a Toxic, which is able to get on me. So I go for the Volt Switch because obviously Wish Protect is kind of hard to deal with, especially when I'm trying to get my Medicham in safe. So I go into my Nidoking, goes for the Wish. I believe I go into Earth Power here, just fine by me. Now here's a very interesting play. He goes for the Hurricane, doesn't knock me out, and I go for the T-Bolt and does 85%. Now, the reason why I did that is because this was my only opportunity to get rid of this Pigeon. So, getting rid of this means that my Volk and Lopunny will be able to put in some good work against the team later on down the match. So, staying in, I still stand by my play doing this. Sacrificing Nidoking, and obviously Confusion is also a big important factor too. Could have cost me the game, but I want to just get rid of this bird as soon as I possibly can. So I switch out. He goes for the Roost, which I don't really agree with that play because I think knocking out my Nidoking would have been the better play for him. So here I go into my Medicham, and he goes into my Lodic, and I'm just going to Thunder Punch this thing, and does 43%, and he gets burned. So I'm going to go for a Thunder Punch again, does 32%, scalds me, Do I get burned? No. So that means I'm able to knock out the Milotic with another Thunder Punch, and I can keep this Medicham for the faster threats in a potential Scarfoopa or the Mega Pidgeot. So I'm able to knock this Milotic off, which was a problem from the first game that we played, and I was like, whatever. So I'm going to go into my Quagsire here. Of course, with Hyperspace Fury, does only 40%. Very interesting. Goes for it again, knocks on my Quagsire. And I believe now I go into my Lopunny. Now is the perfect time to Mega Evolve. And go to the Rotom-heat here. And I'm going to fake out. It does 21%, which is actually pretty decent. So here, I'm going to go into the Volcarona, expecting him to attack me with Moonblast. But I'm going to fire off a Flamethrower here and knock out this Metagross like a boss. Goes into Bird Jesus here. I'm going to sack my Nidoking because technically I don't need it anymore. And I'm just going to go into my Medicham. And Thunder Punch is free here. And I get to knock out this Mega Pidgeot. Goes into Hoop Unbound. I Thunder Punch it, does 65, pretty decent. And he Zen headbutts me, but unfortunately misses. And here, this was a Scarf max speed speed tie. So I outsped him the first time. He misses the Zen headbutt, then he outspeeds me. So unfortunately, that had happened. So I go from Mega Lopunny. Fake out does so much, the point just knocks it out. So now it comes down to the Rotom-heat, and here I'm like, oh, I better not throw this game away because losing for the second time is just gonna make me feel like crap, and I hate losing. So what I do here is I go for the quick attack to see what he does because I expect him to do Moonblast, and so I'm gonna go into my Volk, or not? I'm going to go to my Lopunny with the Facade, and then I go into my Volk, expecting him to protect, and then I'm gonna get a QD here on the next turn, expecting to either protect or wish. Fires off the Toxic from here. What I could have done here is actually going for the Quiver Dance again. But unfortunately for my opponent, I Flamethrower crit, and he attacks me, which means that he doesn't have a wish on him to get his HP back up and pretty much win the game with another Flamethrower. Because even with the crit, the next regular attack wouldn't have been able to let the Rotom survive. So yeah, good game my opponent. Unfortunately, we had to do the replay, which it's funny because I didn't even catch the Sylveon being an eligible mod. It's kind of weird how that happened too. But luckily we get the win. So at this point, midway through the season, we are now 4-3. And according to the stats, I am actually in our entire division, ironically, is all 4-3. So that means I have a good opportunity to hit playoffs. And I'm second in the division because I have a second highest differential in that division. So yeah, it was pretty much the first couple games was win loss, and then I got a win. Yeah, win loss, win loss, win. So yeah, 4-3. I feel pretty comfortable with the transaction that I made too. Now this team feels a lot better, and I can maneuver it. Like, even though I like preferring hyper offense, I think I'm still able to manage to break down teams if I find the perfect opportunity and not, make bad plays early on in the game that will cost me, the difference between playoffs and, losing out. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. Like and subscribe. More content. Thank you and have a good day.